now on Denver 7 News at 4, red flag warnings in effect as our active start to wildfire season continues across the state.
Rent prices continue to reach record highs. Some cities think rent control could be the answer. Where this is gaining traction and why it may not be the solution for everyone. And there could be new hope for millions of people struggling with food allergies. The new treatment in the works.
Plus, a Denver woman whose Facebook account got hacked by scammers almost pays a dangerous price.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Danny New. We will get to the recent fires that are burning in our state already, but first, let's ask meteorologist Stacey Donaldson about how our forecast could shape what else might be coming. Stacey, I understand that we have a triple threat on our hands, is that right?
That's right, and that's why we've issued a weather action day for tomorrow, as the wind, the heat, and of course the humidity, the dry levels across the atmosphere here are going to impact our fire danger for tomorrow, which is going to be extreme. We already have high winds here for the Front Range, the Eastern Plains. They will be even higher for tomorrow. At this point, we have 44-mile-an-hour winds at DIA, higher winds across the Eastern Plains and up into the mountains as well. As for these humidity levels, they've been between 19 and 30%. Now tomorrow they'll be between 5 and 10%. They will be even lower, and our temperatures will be even higher. So we'll be in the 80s and 90s across the eastern part of our state for tomorrow. So that means elevated, critical, and extreme fire danger here for eastern Colorado. Denver is right in that critical range, and then farther to the east, it's extreme. So the fire weather outlook includes a red flag warning for high fire danger across eastern Colorado tomorrow, along with a high wind warning, which means we could see winds up to 65 miles an hour tomorrow afternoon. Our wake up forecast tomorrow, temperatures in the 50s starting out, but we'll be in the 70s and 80s as we get into the afternoon. We'll talk more about what you can expect over the next 24 hours coming up.
Thank you, Stacey. And we're working to learn more about the damage from a fire in the San Luis Valley. It was near the town of Monte Vista, about 4 hours south of Denver. We know multiple homes have been destroyed, but we haven't been given a specific number yet. City officials say 6 families have been displaced and are being offered assistance through the Rio Grande County Department of Social Services and the San Luis Valley Victim Response Unit. Meanwhile, we now know the cause of the Table Mountain fire in Boulder County. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office says researchers with UC Boulder's Aerospace Engineering Department were flying a drone to conduct weather studies, and then that drone crashed and its lithium-ion battery fell out and ignited. The research team then used a fire extinguisher to try to put out the fire, but those high winds we've been talking a lot about made that spread very quickly. However, we should note no charges will be filed as they were flying within regulations. And officials will start to assess properties in the 37E burn area near Lyons this week. That fire started on Friday and was contained to 114 acres on Sunday. And while no building damage was initially reported to firefighters, the county says these assessments are an important step to making sure properties that had fire on them still get a fair evaluation of the damage. The assessors will be in Larimer County vehicles and have their county IDs with them. And then back to Boulder County we go, where the Boulder County Sheriff's Office says it has exhausted all leads in trying to find the person who started the NCAR fire. The fire burned about 190 acres last month near the Bear Canyon Trail. Investigators reviewed tips from the public and looked at evidence, but have not been able to find the suspect. If you have any information, they ask that you call the Sheriff's Office. And I'm sure that all that just made you really want to get all the updates for the rest of fire season. And fortunately, the FCC just approved a plan to improve the alerts that you get on your phone during emergencies. The Federal Communications System knows it's a problem with wireless emergency alerts, and that is why half of agencies are hesitant to use them. But as we've reported, it was a reason that Boulder County didn't have the system in place for the Marshall Fire. And of course, you can make Denver 7 your go-to source for wildfire information, including the latest on evacuations. You can download our free Denver 7 Plus app right now for your smart device so you can stay up to date 24/7. And if you lived here last summer, you've seen the days where the mountains or downtown disappears from view because of all the smoke and the air pollution. And the American Lung Association released, check this out, this is a state of the air report today. Every county in the metro area, plus Larimer and Weld counties, got F's in the new report for ozone pollution. You can check pollution levels on the website airnow.gov. On days with high pollution, we're told that you should limit your time outside and avoid driving. And if you have to use your car, you should probably drive with your windows up. And this might be hard to believe, but lawn equipment also contributes quite a bit to our ozone. Colorado lawmakers have proposed a package of bills aimed at mitigating the effects of climate change, and some of them are aimed at consumers. Senate Bill 138 calls for a 30% tax credit on the purchase of all electric lawn equipment. The discount would be given to people at the point of purchase and not just when tax season comes around.
So they walk to the cash register and they receive their tax credit, so they don't have to put extra money up front and then claim it later and, lose the receipt.
A prior version of the bill called for a ban on the sale of gas-powered lawn equipment by 2030, but lawmakers decided incentives would be better than a ban. However, Republicans actually don't think the incentive is necessary. They tell Denver 7 the free market should take care of it rather than relying on money from the general fund to try and influence consumer habits.
The U.S. is sending another $800 million in military support to Ukraine. This will be for weapons, ammunition, and drones. The U.S. has now spent more than $3 billion on military assistance for Ukraine, nearly exhausting the approved funding. President Biden is asking Congress to approve more. Last month, the president said the U.S. would accept 100,000 Ukrainian refugees. Now a plan announced today will make that process much smoother. Under the program called Uniting for Ukraine, U.S. citizens can apply to be a sponsor. Ukrainians will have to verify things like vaccination, Ukraine residency, and they'll have to pass a security check. Sponsor applications will be posted Monday on the Department of Homeland Security website. As the U.S. continues with efforts to help the people of Ukraine and stop the Russia invasion, the word sanction has come up a lot. Just yesterday, the White House announced a new round of sanctions aimed at a key commercial bank and the Russian oligarch who leads it. Most sanctions have been on Russians with financial power. But as the U.S. and other countries impose sanctions, you may be wondering what they've actually done, as Russia isn't pulling out of Ukraine.
The overall lack of accountability that leaders in Russia have toward their own people is likely to make these sanctions less than effective, at least certainly not as effective as we wish they would be.
Pierre Sullen is a foreign relations professor at San Diego State. He says, in a way, sanctions up until now are more symbolic than anything else. Essentially, just sending a message to Russia that the world isn't happy with what's happening. Over time, he says, they could start to add up and put more pressure on Russia. But with the war dragging on, getting to that point would make the global impacts even worse. Meanwhile, European countries are struggling to come up with a plan for a meaningful sanction to stop buying oil and gas from Russia. Experts estimate the EU pays Russia $850 million a day for this.
They would have to be willing to hurt themselves and their own people as much as they would hurt Russia and its people. And I don't think that the situation is considered to be serious enough, again, from the perspective of these European states.
And he says the EU does have a plan to become more independent for energy production, but that has a timeline of 2030. In the meantime, he predicts the U.S. will keep ordering similar sanctions on Russia. Inflation on healthcare costs is way up. Why? We'll likely feel the effects of this long term and how you can try to get around it.
Also coming up, Colorado's unemployment fund needs money. Now lawmakers have a plan that could spare employers from having to cover that bill. We take a closer look.